Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat, the number one podcast in the world. We have an action-packed episode. First, we have a very special interview with GMoney, the GOAT of NFTs, Godfather. We talk about everything about crypto, NFT, and his story. It's actually quite interesting. And honestly, you guys need to get on Twitter and start talking, because it could change your life. It changed his. Very fascinating story. Then we dive right into news. Big news. Elon Musk, huge stake in Twitter, joins the board. Mortgage rates are crossing 5%. Pfaff is laying off people. Fast shut down. And the biggest news of the day, Kanye West out at Coachella. Now we have to guess who it's going to be. Let's get into it.
Woo!
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, everyone. We have a very, very special guest. It sounds like the Godfather of NFTs, considering it just started. Your name is GMoney. I don't know what the G stands for, but I'm going to say Godfather just because it feels like a lot of people, when they refer to NFTs, you're an OG person, which I guess in a new space, that's pretty impressive to do. So welcome to the pod.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
So if you're listening to the episode, you can't see this, but you'll see the TikTok clips, you'll see on YouTube, but you are using I'm assuming that's your ape as your avatar, and it's pretty funny. I mean, just because I assume this is what the future is like. We're going to be talking to each other in the metaverse. Why are you anonymous?
So basically, the GMoney comes from the fact that my name begins with a G.
Okay.
It was always a nickname that I had. My parents are from South America. So, I grew up in,
We got hints.
Guillermo.
Just before you get into it, just for the audience, if you're not super dialed into NFTs, I've had many friends tell me you're the GOAT. You are the NFT guy.
Yeah.
So just for context, we're talking to a legend.
Yes. Continue. Continue, Guillermo.
Well, I mean, now I'm embarrassed, but thank you. I appreciate it. G was G Money, G Unit, G Spot, G everything, right? Were nicknames I had throughout my entire youth growing up. G Money stuck just because I always was interested in the stock market. I always had a knack for making money and doing stuff around that. So that's where that ended up coming from, right? And that the reason when I got into the crypto NFT space, the reason why I went with G Money as opposed to my real name was I live in PR. I'm originally from New York. I have a lot of friends that have been in crypto. I originally got into crypto in 2017, but I didn't get into NFTs till 2020. And it wasn't until after I got into NFTs that I was tweeting about them or I wanted to tweet about them. And I went to a couple of my friends that were already in the space, and I was like, well, should I dox or should I go anonymous? And they're like, if you dox, just so you know, one of my buddies was like, I got SIM swapped 8 times last year. And I'm like, oh. And so for those that don't know,
wow.
SIM swap is where somebody will get your phone number and they know your name, and then they'll call the telephone company saying that they lost their phone, and they will switch that number onto their SIM card and then get access to your email and stuff like that. And it's just a way of hacking people. And so I was like, all right, well, just out of pure convenience, I don't want to do that, right? Because who wants to have that headache of having to call their Verizon or AT&T every couple of months to figure that out?
So it's basically a security reason was the primary driver of why you went anonymous.
Yep.
And so that's interesting. And do you feel that is the way to do this? Because right now you go on Twitter, there's a lot of people that have their avatars or whatever their most popular NFT is as their profile picture, and they have some like obscure .eth as their handle. And then there's a lot of people who are just have their real name and whatever NFT they own. What do you think? That's kind of a tough, because like because the whole purpose of buying this stuff to me is a flex, but if you're anonymous, does that kind of ruin it? Like, how do you feel about that?
So I think that just like in everything, like you want to have that choice in life, right? So when I originally got into the space, it was more for security, right? Mm-hmm. As I spent more time in the space, I remember when the Beeple auction happened, where he sold the piece for $69 million. And I work in finance, so I had friends who were able to possibly get me on CNBC, because this was at a time, like at this point last year, almost nobody in the world knew what NFTs were, right? And so I was like, I can go on television and talk about this, but I wanted to go on as GMoney, the CryptoPunk ape, and talk about it. And like, obviously with almost all mainstream media, they're like, well, we need to see your face. You need to show your face and you need to show your name. And I was like, nobody really cares what me as a individual has to say. People care what GMoney, the CryptoPunk ape, has to say. So like, why would anybody put stock on that? So at that point, I was like, you know what? Like at the end of the day, what I look like and what my name is doesn't really matter. And then I really just started leaning into it, right? Because when you think about like online identities, and I think we're around the same age. Like I've been playing video games my whole life, right? Like my screen names have been super personal, right? Like if my name was Unicorn Lover 54, you could assume that I like unicorns, right? But like the name that I'm given from birth is usually a family name. It's passed down, like maybe a grandparent's name or something, right? So I have no say in that. And then also how I display myself to the world in a game with a skin, like I have a direct say in what I look like, as opposed to genetics. Like you can work out and you can eat healthy, but like outside of like the way if you have green eyes, you're probably not able to change them, right? And so that to me was kind of really where I was like, hey, if we're going into this brave new world of people having more choice in how they displayed and how they want people to address them, like let's really start leaning into that and really start pushing that narrative, which is why I really started leaning into GMoney. And, I got the avatar filter pretty early on that somebody in the CryptoPunks community made for me. And I was like, yeah, like this is great. Like I can take calls putting on a snap filter on a Zoom call and like, be able to talk to people.
Can you walk us through your crypto journey? So 2017, it sounds like you worked in Wall Street. What drove you to crypto in 2017, and how did you ascend so quickly? Because 2017 isn't like super early in crypto, but you've clearly made, your name and who knows, I mean, your collection and Adidas and all this crazy shit. How'd you do it so quickly, and what brought you to crypto?
Yeah, so I originally found out about Bitcoin in, I don't know the year. It was either like 2010 or 2012. Bitcoin was like $27. And I remember I think I spent like 2 or 3 hours reading about it. I tried to figure out how to buy it. I couldn't figure out how to buy it. And then like it shot up straight to $1,000, and then it pulled back to 200. And I was like, all right, like that was tulips. Like, I need to find something else. Yep. And it wasn't until I moved to Puerto Rico in 2017. And when I moved here, I went to like a networking event and I met some guys that were making money trading Bitcoin.
So you weren't rich, and you weren't rich when you moved to Puerto Rico. Normally people get rich and then move to Puerto Rico.
No, well, the key is you have to front run that, right? Like you want to make the money while you're in Puerto Rico. You don't want to make the money before you move there, right?
But why'd you move there?
So because I was trading equities, I was I was a full-time equities trader. I was doing really well, enough that like there's a certain amount of money you need to make a year for it to be break even, and then like the key is to hope that you can compound that money afterwards, because you're paying a lower tax rate, right?
Right, and you were just trading your own capital.
I was trading my own capital, yeah.
Okay.
I got in. I started following the stock market when I was 12. I started investing when I was 14. I majored in finance. I always knew I wanted to do something with the stock market. I decided to not go the traditional banking route of, working in an investment bank or a hedge fund or whatever, just because I don't know. I guess I come from an entrepreneurial family, and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it on my own. And, that's kind of the path that led me down here. But yeah, when I moved to PR, I met a couple people that were trading Bitcoin, and they were like, oh, the volatility is amazing. And I saw that the price was back above 1,000. And just as a student of price action, like if you see like a major bubble happen and the price goes back, like you don't really think of it. But like once it starts retracing and starts holding up near those prices, you're like, okay, there's probably something here. And so that's when I started going down the rabbit hole. I found Ethereum, and then I found like the ICOs that were happening at the time. And, I rode like probably the second half of that ICO boom. And it was in Q1 of 2018 that I kind of looked around. And this is where like my experience as a teenager investing my money, because I started investing like right around the beginning of the dot-com bubble. So like I rode that all up, and then I didn't sell anything, and then I watched it all crash, right?
That's what happened to me too.
Yeah. And that was like a great, it's great that it happened to me. I was obviously really sad at the time, because I remember, I was graduating high school, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I go to college. And nope, like that didn't happen. Right. But like, when I was looking around, I remember I was at a conference, and I was just getting pitched like the worst ideas that I could possibly hear. And they were like, people like dying to throw money at these projects. And I was like, all right, like I'm going to sell, like this hysteria is too crazy. Like blockchain tech is great, and it's going to change the world. But just like the dot-com bubble, right? Like, the bubble popped in 2000. The internet that we know today didn't get built for like another 10 years. You know what I mean? Like pets.com sold pet food on the internet, and they went bankrupt. And today it's Chewy's, and it's a multi-billion-dollar business, right? Just nobody was buying pet food online in 1999, right? Because the infrastructure wasn't there. So in 2018, I was like, you know what? Like this will be back. I was like, in my head, I was like, all right, this is going to take 5 to 7 years, and I'm just going to watch from afar, because I had my equities trading business that I was doing well in, right? So it's like, why am I going to sit there and struggle in crypto during a 5 to 7 year bear market? And so then, I the entire time I'm kind of keeping my eye on crypto from afar. COVID happens, and I believe it was either late March or late April. I forgot exactly when. But in the depths of COVID, Jerome Powell goes on television and tells the world that he's about to start buying all like bonds, right? Which basically means he's going to start buying all assets. So that day, I wire a ton of money over to Coinbase. I buy a bunch of Ethereum, and I start going back down the the crypto rabbit hole, right? And, I'm learning DeFi, and I'm like learning about all these protocols. I'm like, holy shit, like this is really cool stuff. Like this is going to change the world.
And just real quickly, just for people that don't understand what he just said, when Jerome Powell went and said, I'm basically backstopping American companies, I'm backstopping the American economy, and we're going to print as much money as we possibly can in order to save the American economy during COVID. And that was what, obviously you're obviously a sophisticated trader, but that kind of created this whole new wave of like, wait, if governments can just print unlimited money, what's the value of the money? And it got a lot of people interested in crypto again. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to kind of explain that.
All right, cool. Yeah, sorry. I sometimes I get a little too ahead of myself with that, but yeah, I totally agree. Right. And to me, at that point when that happened, it's like, okay, you want to buy things that can't easily be made, right? So cryptocurrency, hard cap, right? Like gold, hard cap. So, to me, my bet was on the future of money. I thought would be digital. If a blockchain tech, decentralized blockchain tech existed 100 years ago, my view is that it probably would have been adopted 100 years ago, right? And so that's why I really started going back down the crypto rabbit hole. And it wasn't until August, and that's like in April, right? And so I'm relearning everything that was built in crypto, and I'm like, holy shit, they built stuff way faster than I thought, right? Like I thought it would take 5 to 7 years. They started building usable products within 2 years. And I'm learning DeFi. I hear about NFTs over the summer, but I was just too busy learning and listening to podcasts and reading Twitter and all these things. And then finally, DeFi summer cools down and I look up NFTs. And when I look up NFTs, they immediately start to make sense to me because on the first day of quarantine, I bought a PlayStation. I hadn't played a video game in like 10 years. I download Fortnite. I start playing Fortnite with two of my best friends that are living in New York. And one of them has a 12-year-old nephew living in Texas. And the first thing that this kid asks is, what skins did you buy? And I'm like, skins? Fortnite's free to play. Like, I'm not spending money on skins. Do I get any extra kills? Do I get extra lives? Like, no, like I'm not going to spend any money. And then after like a week or two, like I start buying a bunch of skins. And I realized that kid is 12 years old today. In 10 years, he's going to be 22. He's going to have his own disposable income, and he's going to be totally okay with owning a purely digital asset. So at the time, I'm like, all right, in March, I'm like, all right, well, what is it? I don't know what the super cycle is where I can take advantage of this. At the time, there's no publicly traded metaverse companies. So I'm like, all right, there's a super cycle here. I'm going to keep an eye out for it. In August, when I find it, I was like, holy shit. This is, an NFT is going to be your skin on Twitter. And that's when I just started going down the rabbit hole, which ended up culminating in me buying my CryptoPunk ape and writing a Twitter thread around it, which ended up going viral on crypto Twitter.
And when was that exactly?
So when I wrote my Twitter thread, it was in January of 2021 of why I purchased my CryptoPunk.
And at that point, how much was a CryptoPunk?
The cheapest one I think was around somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500, and I purchased mine for $150,000, which at the time was the most amount paid for a CryptoPunk. And I wrote this Twitter thread on it on why I thought it was valuable. And if you go back and look at the replies, people were like, "Oh, you're an idiot," signs at the top, right click save, and now obviously it's become pretty common that people are spending seven figures on NFTs.
And so you did that purchase, and then how did that thread obviously had an enormous impact on you becoming a thought leader in the space. And did you then start purchasing more NFTs? How did you parlay this?
So I was purchasing a lot of NFTs. Like when I got into the NFT space, I was like, $1,000. I mean, I would go into projects and I would sweep floors and I'd spend like $5,000 on a project and people would be like, whoa, relax. Like, don't spend all your money in one place. And I had my thought process laid out, right? Like as somebody that's been trading my own capital for over 15 years, I very much manage risk, right? That's my business. And so I was like, okay, the thing I loved about NFTs and my thesis was, if I felt crypto was an option that doesn't expire, which if you take a look throughout history, when people find derivatives that don't expire, that's when like massive amounts of money can be made, right? And so that's what attracted me to Bitcoin and Ethereum. You could risk 100% of your money, but you would be able to make multiples of your money and you never had to worry about expiration. And so my thesis was, an NFT was a derivative of a derivative, right? So what do I mean by that, right? If Ethereum was going to go up, assets priced in Ethereum would go higher. The same way that when the stock market goes to all-time highs, luxury real estate, luxury cars, wine, watches, all these things that wealthy people buy also go up in value because they have more wealth. And so my thesis was in 2017 in that cycle, people were like, when Lambo. My thesis was people would be saying, when CryptoPunk by the end of this cycle. So I was like, I want to be buying these assets that people in crypto will want, right? So that if I make $100 million, there's only one asset I want to buy. And at the time I felt it was a CryptoPunk. But when I was getting into the space, I originally was like, I want to find the next CryptoPunks. So there were a lot of projects where I would go in and I would sweep the floor and I would be like, hey, what are you guys all looking at? And then I would find other projects and I would go in and I'd sweep the floor. And then one day
what does sweep the floor mean?
Well, you buy like a certain number of like the cheapest ones for sale, right?
Got it. Okay.
So you just buy, let's say 5 of the cheapest, right? So that's called sweeping the floor. And so I ended up buying these things called Chromie Squiggles, which was by the founder of Art Blocks, which is a generative art platform. And the founder of Art Blocks, his name is Snowfro, and he's a big CryptoPunk holder, right? He actually had his idea for Art Blocks because he was claiming CryptoPunks, which were free to claim back in 2017. So what ended up happening was when these CryptoPunks were available to claim, you can just go and you can choose which one you wanted to buy, right? So if you understood what the rarities were, you could go in and pick up the rarest ones as long as you were there first. So his idea was like, what if everybody paid the same amount, but you didn't know what you got until you minted it, right? Because that's a little more fair. And so that was the genesis and the thesis for Art Blocks. And he spent the next few years building it out. And Chromie Squiggles was his like proof of concept. And it's like his the signature drop on that platform. And so when I went in there one day, I was like, all right, like I was trying to figure out how to batch mint because I wanted to buy I wanted to originally buy 500 of them. And so I had to sit there at my computer. I was sitting there for 45 minutes or an hour, just pressing the buttons, mint, mint, mint. And afterwards I go back into Discord because I couldn't find the Discord. And somebody sent me the link to the Discord and people were just going nuts because they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what is he minting? Oh my God. People were like running home from dinner because they wanted to get a certain number, like their birthday or their wife's birthday or something like that, their birth year. And then Snowfo hits me up. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, if you're going to spend this much money on NFTs, like buy a CryptoPunk. And so then he spent the next 2-3 days explaining to me CryptoPunks, the provenance, why they were super important. And then I was like, for me, I was like, holy shit, like I need to own this, right? So a few days later, I bought a zombie. And then over the next month, I was looking for my ape, for an ape, which ended up coming for sale within the next 30 days. And I purchased it. And that's when I wrote my thread.
Wow. And so now, you're now like in this business that you're in the business of NFTs. So putting aside just the money you're making, just trading crypto and NFTs, how are you now? We saw that you're involved in the Adidas project. Like, what does that mean? And how did you get involved with that?
Yeah. So I don't trade NFTs. I just don't have time to trade. And I don't think it's a good use of my time. So It was around this time last year that I was like, okay, like I could ride off into the sunset and disappear and I'll be fine at this point, right? So it's like, what do I want to focus on next, right? Like I firmly believe that crypto technology is super important for humanity. And I firmly believe that NFTs are the Trojan horse that take crypto mainstream. So I decided that I wanted to do everything in my power to take NFTs mainstream as fast as possible, right? And what does that mean? It's like, if we sat around within the crypto community and didn't evangelize the product and the technology, then it would just be the same 100,000 people trading the same products over and over again. But if we can help brands understand crypto and understand NFTs and why it's important for them to engage with their consumers on this level, that will do so much for adoption, right? Which is why I was super excited to work with Adidas. I firmly believe that Adidas and Nike coming into the space in Q4 of last year is the most significant thing to happen to crypto in the last 5-10 years, right? Because it just means you have two of the most culturally relevant brands on the planet telling you that they're focused on this segment. I think every other consumer focused brand at this point has to at least look at it, right? And at least be like, what are we thinking about it? So that to me was, it was around this time last year that I was like, okay, this is what I really want to focus on. Adidas, an employee at Adidas actually reached out to me after I wrote one of my Twitter threads last year and was like, I really like what you're doing. I would love to chat with you. I work at Adidas. And it was a random DM. I didn't know if he did or not. But I said it was worth 20 minutes of my time hopping on a call with this guy to see if he was for real or not. Because if it was Adidas, it's going to be sick. And, we spoke for 6 or 8 weeks or something. I still didn't know if he worked there. I finally got an email from Adidas domain, probably 6 or 8 weeks after we started talking. And I was like, okay, well, at least I know he works there, but he could be the janitor for all I know. And then like the conversation started evolving, and it was really cool because the team internally at Adidas that was running it is definitely like Web3 native. So they were really like pushing the boundaries and the ideas within the organization themselves. And it made it like a really fun experience to work with.
Can I give you a counter? How do they know they're talking to GMoney?
Oh, that's true. I mean, I don't know. How do you know you're talking to GMoney?
I don't
know. It's like Marshmallow. I don't believe Marshmallow is even DJing
no, but everyone
anymore.
knows it's
.com.
Yeah, .com, whatever it is.
But it's still like he puts on the thing and he doesn't take it off till he leaves.
Yeah, there could be 50 Marshmallows.
Yeah. If Marshmallow is DJing two places in one night,
I hope their operation is tighter than that. It's not like Barcelona and Vegas on the same night.
That's super interesting. So one of the questions I have is like, when you look at the volume of crypto now and NFTs, a lot of people want to believe that it's just the retail investor that's driving this. But you look at the quantum of money, it just can't be anymore. There's no fucking way that the tens of billions of dollars that are being traded every single day. You're obviously a very sophisticated, savvy investor. How many people like you are in this space now versus how many is it like just, retail Joe that's like throwing a couple bucks at it? And, I know people think it's, hundreds of millions of people are active on crypto, but like when you look at like the wallet activity on OpenSea, it doesn't feel like that.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that you have a lot of really smart people coming in from DeFi that will sit there and arb stuff, right? And like, they develop these quant models and, they allow for liquidity, right? So if, let's say, I really wanted to sell my NFT, I can sell it 10% instantaneously, 10% below whatever fair market value is, almost instantaneously. But then they will turn around and kind of like flip it, right, to make some sort of spread. I think some volume happens from that. I couldn't tell you what the percentage is between institutional and retail, but I do know that over time, we're going to get a lot more institutional flows as well, because I think the number of products that will be coming on chain as NFTs will grow, and that will require institutional capital to support.
Got it. And so what advice then would you give to someone that's listening and wants to enter this space? Like, what I think is the most fascinating thing about your story, and I don't know your education background, if you went to an Ivy League or whatever, you obviously, okay, so you kind of built all of your ecosystem based on your ability to trade your own capital. And then you leveraged social media to become the thought leader in the space. And I think that's like pretty fascinating. Like that to me is the most decentralized way to actually build wealth, is that you put your own money at risk. You built it over time. And then you found this like seminal moment that was happening in crypto and NFTs, and you went out and like the fact that you could just put out a thread. Like, did you already have a following on Twitter?
No, I had like 50 followers, I think, when I put the thread out.
Wow.
Fuck.
And so I just saw you have 250,000 now.
So you literally you gave your thesis on something. It resonated with people and it happened. Like, I think like people underestimate. I think people always think it's like there's always the wall of like, how do you become that person? And you're just a prime example. You just did it. And you put the universe, like you put the information out there, you put your beliefs out there, and it resonated with people. And then you had conviction. Obviously, you put your own money at risk. That's obviously a big part of it. But you built that wealth over time. It's not like you did it overnight. Like
right, yeah. And to the point for why I started the Twitter account was around like November, December of 2020. I was able to take somebody from thinking NFTs are like the dumbest thing in the world to I wouldn't buy an NFT, but I understand why you might, within like 20 to 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to go around the world and red pill like 1 to 5 people at a time, then nobody's ever going to know what NFTs are. I'm like, I need some sort of platform where I can voice my thoughts. And, like I watch a lot of Gary Vee videos, and like, he's like really good at helping you realize it's like, when I specifically remember where he was like, just put your content out there and like your tribe will find you, right? Like at some point, somebody will, how big that tribe becomes varies, right? Like it could also only be that maybe like 500 people like what I have to say, and that's fine. But it could also be, that's the scale of social media, right? Is like you put your voice out there, and as more people engage with it and find interest in it, that kind of becomes its own snowball.
So when you go to conferences, you just go as Guillermo Anonymous and just like walk around?
No, people people know what I look like. I've invested in about almost 100 startups over the last year. So I'm on a bunch of cap tables. I talk to founders. So it's, people at conferences know who I am.
Okay.
Got it. Because it's Bitcoin week in Miami, right?
Yeah, I was out in LA last week for NFT LA, and I just needed to like get home and do some work.
Got it.
Yeah. It must be annoying hanging out with those dorks all day.
No, I mean we're all good dudes. We're all good dudes. What are you talking about?
I'm kidding. Okay. I just wanted to see if you're going to throw them under the bus.
I'm one of them. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I remember like right around the time I wrote that thread, because I was telling like all my friends in real life, I'm like, buy these things, buy these NFTs. And they were looking at me like I had like 7 heads. Like I was the dumbest person ever. And then I was like, I still remember being like, well, I'm just going to hang out in Discord with my internet friends until this thing catches, right? And I thought it was going to be like another 3 to 5 years, and it took like another 2 or 3 months.
So my last question, because it's happened to plenty of people, is how do you not get rugged? How do you not get hacked? How do you not get swiped in your MetaMask? Like clicking a Discord link where you lose all your ETH, because you hear all these stories. So I guess just give advice to people that are jumping in that aren't the most technologically savvy. Like where are the like kind of mousetraps?
Yeah, so I would say number one thing is use a hardware wallet, right? Either a Ledger or a Trezor, so that even if you do click on a link, it makes it much harder for you to get your wallet wiped. Right? That's my number one thing. Number two is like always have your guard up, right? Like especially, and this, I've noticed this happens because this almost happened to me, like when I was first getting into the space, where you're flustered, you have an issue, you go into the Discord or the Telegram and you ask for help, and then a bunch of people will randomly DM you. Right. And they'll be like, oh, hey, like I'm here to help you, blah, blah, blah. And they might even have the same name as the people on the team. So you think you're talking to somebody on the team, and you're just very flustered because, usually, you have a transaction that's stuck, or you can't find some of your money. You don't know where it went. And so you will kind of, since you're desperate, you will listen to whatever anybody tells you, and they'll be like, hey, click on this link. And then you click on that link, and then like they kind of like hack you and wipe your wallet. So I think one is to always have your guard up, and to make sure that like you double check URLs that anybody sends you. You triple check like if the person that is messaging you is the person that they claim to be, right? Like I've had plenty of conversations with people in Discord where they're like, send me a message on your Twitter so I know it's you. And like, I understand, right? Because like anybody can write that they're GMoney on Discord and like put my profile as their picture, because there's no sort of verification system on Discord, right? But on Twitter, if I send you a message from my account, you have to assume that that's me at that point.
And you're a futuristic guy. If you're sitting here today, you have some money to play with. What are you doing in crypto or NFTs?
I mean, I think the question is, how much time do you have, right? Because like if it's somebody that's just looking to allocate towards crypto as almost like part of their retirement allocation, I'll just tell them, take whatever you wanted to allocate towards crypto, put half in Bitcoin, half in Ethereum, walk away, and that should be a good inflation hedge. If you really want to be starting to get into the space, I would say there's a few blue chip projects that I think you can invest in. CryptoPunks is one of them, but also like you need to realize that your upside isn't, you're not, CryptoPunks probably don't 1000x from here, right? But that's because the cheapest CryptoPunk is around $200,000, right? And so, you can buy and even if you don't have $200,000 to invest in a CryptoPunk, you can buy like a fractionalized version of one. So if you only want to put like $500 towards CryptoPunks in your overall portfolio allocation. There are ways to do that. You just have to realize that at this point, like the CryptoPunk market is more mature than others. Bored Apes minted for like $200 less than a year ago, right? And now they're trading at around $300 to $400,000 right now, right? So but they're much riskier, right? When you're minting something, you have the possibility of it going to zero, but you also have the possibility of making multiples of your money. And that's why I think a lot of people start coming into the space is, listen, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about NFTs if the price didn't go up so hard, so fast, right? So, there's the pros and the cons to that. So you're going to get a lot of people that want to get rich quick. But also, I feel like part of it is because the technology and the narrative is so good of what this means for the future of how humans interact, especially in a digital world, the long term will be up and to the right.
We love up and to the right.
Everyone loves up and to the right.
Yeah, we don't like down. Amazing, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we'll meet you in real life soon.
Sure.
I mean, you know what we look like. We're pretty, easy to spot Indians. So if you see us out, please say hi and congrats. This is a pretty fascinating story, and I think it's like to everyone listening, it's crazy that the power of social media, that like you just have like pivoted your career in a matter of 2 years and created enormous wealth because of a Twitter thread. That's wild. That's wild.
No, it's crazy. It's funny because it was literally like a year ago this week that I stopped trading full time.
So you topped the market.
I mean, I guess so.
Cool, man. Well, it's great meeting you, and thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our good friend Michael Katz's company over at mParticle. And one of the things that brands and businesses are clearly understanding now, that it is getting more and more expensive to acquire customers cheaply. So what happens is that you end up spending more money on Facebook, TikTok, Google, and you don't actually spend money on the thing that you actually need to understand your customer, which is actually first-party data. It is the most important thing you could be investing in right now. mParticle helps teams build and execute a first-party data strategy and personalize every interaction. Can't tell you who their customers are, but it is some of the biggest companies in the world, whether it's e-commerce companies,
food delivery,
brands, mega streaming platforms. Trust us, when you see the list of people they work with, you'll understand why first-party data is giving the power back to the brand, back to the companies. Please head over to mparticle.com, check out what they're up to, and, tell Michael Katz that group chat sent you.
Yeah, and I think the simple way to explain it is, do you want Facebook to own your data, or do you want to own your data?
I want to own my data.
There you go. Let's get back into it.
All right. Well, that was fascinating. I'm going to step up my Twitter game.
Yeah, why aren't you viral? You've been trying to be famous for, 5 years?
I know. I think my fame will honestly come because I know I called the Gap right. Why isn't my Gap thing on a TikTok yet? I want credit when that company implodes.
Wait, it's going to implode?
When they break it up. They break it up.
Oh, that's your prediction.
Yeah, they're going to spin off Athleta, shut down Banana Republic, convert to Yeezy stores, and I think they should also spin off Old Navy.
I walked by Banana Republic at the Grove yesterday, and there's Banana Republic Sport. They're trying to compete with
their own brand. They have Athleta, and they have Gap Sport.
It looked terrible.
It's a Banana Republic over there. But that'll be my claim to fame.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident. That's it. But, the problem with Twitter now is there's a new chief in town.
Yeah.
Elon Musk just took a 9+% stake in Twitter and now joining the board of Twitter. This is insane. And by the way, the new Indian CEO can't be happy.
No, he had to publicly tweet how excited he was because he's got a new boss.
Yeah.
Which is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And
Elon Musk is coming to fuck shit up.
Yeah. And, you know, the new CEO, he is super Parag Agrawal. He's super into censorship, deplatforming, basically everything that Elon Musk kind of thesis or ethos is against.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a flat out war.
The stock popped. Biggest jump in Twitter history one day.
Yep.
I think it was, 25%,
Yep.
30%. Popped again today. Very fascinating story. I think Elon keeps acquiring the business. Tesla stock and his wealth is so powerful. I wouldn't be surprised if he bought the whole fucking company and took it private. And it is, in the near future, it'll be a fraction of his wealth. And
it already is, right? That was a $3.5 billion stake that he took, and he's worth over 100.
What's Twitter market cap?
Twitter market cap is, I was just looking at it, 1 second, 51 billion.
40 billion.
On Robinhood, it's 51.
On Yahoo, it's 41.
Okay.
That's a big problem.
Why are they two different market caps? What's Vlad doing?
Yeah. Everything on Robinhood is just fake. It's inflated and fake. Someone's sitting there watching their Yahoo Finance. We're like, wait, Twitter's worth 41 billion in Yahoo Finance. It's worth 51 billion on Robinhood.
Do they even have the same share price? What do you got?
$50.98.
I've got.
Well, they have after hours probably. So 51.08.
51.01. So at least they're.
Oh my God! There's arbitrage here.
Yeah, they're at least in the same zip code. 41 billion and 51 billion are not.
It's not. So obviously, it's a lot of money. But if you think about the richest people in history, they always purchased media outlets. They bought newspapers. They bought television stations because obviously, what's more powerful than controlling the flow of information? That's more powerful than money. And I think Elon Musk understands the power of this medium, specifically for what he is and stands for. There's no better medium for him.
Well, I also think Elon, he's obviously freaking genius. It's really tough to get this scale. So even if you are like, I need a new platform where everyone can have free and open ideas and no one gets deplatformed, it's impossible to scale the way Twitter did without tens and tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So this is already here.
Yeah.
Like Twitter is a perfect example. It's one of the shittiest products in internet history, but everyone still uses it.
Yeah. I mean, it should be so much better and bigger, and the innovation is not there.
There's been nothing.
Nothing. Same characters.
It's the exact same.
That stupid bird.
They extended 140 to 280 characters. Yeah. I think that was the biggest change they've made in 10 years. But everyone still uses it.
Yeah.
Everyone important uses Twitter.
Yeah. I like it. It's a power move.
Yeah. I mean, he's walking to a company that already has scale, already has every important person in the world using it.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. Like there's so many elements of Twitter that are different, right? You have like funny Twitter, NBA Twitter, politics Twitter, global. You can learn anything in the world real time.
I mean, the best example was our previous guest, GMoney, wrote a Twitter thread and became the foremost expert.
Whenever we get a text about some crazy event happening that's just in real time, you just go on Twitter and search it. And you find
when something happens in the world, whether it's an earthquake, a trade, an election, you do not go to Instagram or TikTok.
You don't go to Google.
Yeah, you go to Twitter. It's such an undervalued platform. It's just because it's poorly executed. I'm sure Elon Musk is actually going to make the company better because he's going to push that CEO.
Yeah, he's going to push.
Yeah. And so apparently you can own up to 14.9% and still stay on the board of the company. So if he continues to acquire more as a publicly traded company, he would have to step down from the board. I think it's more powerful for him to be on the board for now, but we'll have to see.
Got it. So why can't you be on the board if you...
That's like maybe because it's an individual.
I didn't know that rule.
Yeah, that was the big thing about what they're doing is that they have to figure out how to, or he has to figure out how to navigate that so it doesn't clearly affect his kind of stake, because being on the board is important for a company like this.
Yeah, he wants to sit in the board meeting and trash the CEO.
Yeah, here he goes. He can't own more than 14.9% of common stock during his tenure as a director.
Interesting.
So, but I think it'll be interesting. But it's great. And then he went immediately asking for an edit button. Do you want an edit button on Twitter? That was one of his first tweets post his purchase. Super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see. It's going to be a great clash with the CEO.
Yeah, huge clash.
Big content. So one of the interesting things that's also happening is unrelated company, but Starbucks recently announced that Howard Schultz is coming back as CEO. He's the person that created Starbucks.
Yep.
One of the best founders of all time. And he canceled their entire stock buyback program, which is $20 billion. And he plans to invest in people and its stores. This is a pretty controversial decision because they have the cash.
Yep.
And I think he's going to get a lot of shit. He is getting a lot of shit for this, but I think it's the right move. At the end of the day, what is going to be the hardest thing for big companies going forward that'll have these massive businesses is retention of people.
And it's innovation. So
yeah.
I think a lot of people get really mad when companies do buybacks because you're kind of throwing your hands up. Like, I don't know what to do with the cash.
There's nothing else
so
to
let's
do,
just buy the stock. And, Starbucks is far from being like immune to being extinct, right? Yeah. Like I know they have the scale and whatever, tens of thousands of stores, but there could be plenty of competitors that come and eat their lunch on every block, right? If there's a better coffee shop across the street, people will go there. So you have to innovate. And I think Howard Schultz and only founders can get away with this because they know the business better than anyone. And they're like, this is what we need to do. Like Apple did a stock buyback and people were like, you have nothing else to do with the capital. Yeah. And it was annoying for investors. So I love it. I think it's great.
I think it is great. One of the companies we talk about a lot here, Pfaff, is laying off 3% of its global workforce. And apparently they're close to raising a $1 billion round. And, people thought they were going to go public, but it sounds like that market is turned off for everybody.
Yep.
And, time to cut costs. And this is the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I predicted this in January when growth stocks started going down, that you're going to just see a slew of layoffs across all these private market companies. And it's happening. It's happening real time. It's going to happen. We're going to hear about this story, and 3% seems light. Yeah. Like they're definitely burning a shit ton of cash. Yeah. IPO window's closed. That $1 billion they're raising, guarantee you it's going to have some weird headline number to make it look like they didn't take a massive discount.
But it's like 4 times pref.
Yeah. It's going to have all the ratchets to make it like very predatory.
Yeah.
And I mean, everyone in the private markets knows if you're trying to go out and raise money right now,
if you're late,
if you're a late stage company, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a late stage company, you're taking it on the chin. Yeah. There's no easy capital in late stage markets right now.
Yeah. And I think they raised $2 billion last year already. So that means they need the cash.
Of course. They definitely are burning money.
Go Pfaff. I like Go Pfaff too. What?
It might be Pfaff. It might go Pfaff.
That would be bad for them. I like Bevmo. I hope Bevmo doesn't
It's crazy because Go Pfaff, which is obviously used by so many people, there's a world where it's a dramatically different business in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Especially I hope we don't go into recession. If we go into recession, that they're going to need like $3 billion.
Yeah, because the other thing is Go Pfaff is a convenience at the end of the day. So you have to have like pretty high level of confidence that the customer can't live without Go Pfaff. And we're already seeing it with delivery. I mean, DoorDash and Postmates, the amount of coupons I get offered every day now. Like before, it was like a maze to get a discount code on Postmates or DoorDash. Now it's like, you want Jones on 3rd? Here you go. Here's 30% off.
Right.
I mean, like huge discounts.
And the Go Pfaff customer is going to
price sensitive.
Yeah, I think it's going to get slaughtered if there is a recession, if there's a slowdown even.
Yeah. Speaking of another slowdown or absolute stop, Fast, which is a payment checkout kind of easy, fast checkout concept that Stripe actually backed. They raised over $120 million. Last week, they were talking about this company basically only has like $600,000 in revenue, had hired this huge team, spending money, layoffs, this, that. Today, shut down. Done.
Yeah, and they've raised over $100 million.
Yeah.
Led by Stripe.
Yeah. I thought those guys are smart.
They are smart.
This is kind of dumb.
The company, so they've raised $125 million to date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
and that was 3 years ago.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
Regardless of recession, slowdown, or everything stays the same, the private markets are going to get super ugly.
Yeah. What's interesting is like all of these things are happening in unison. So like you have inflation happening. So like people are getting crunched every day, either at the pump, the grocery store. I talked about it on the last episode. Just going out to eat is so fucking expensive now. Like we were at a restaurant we eat at a lot in West Hollywood at lunch over the weekend with the kids. It was $100 for the four of us. And bear in mind, my two youngest do not eat food. Right. They basically don't eat. And my wife and I, no alcohol.
Where'd you go, the Henry?
The Henry. Okay. $100 for the four of us.
What'd you get?
I had a quinoa bowl. Haley had like a sandwich or like
$100 no alcohol is insane.
Yeah, because the entree is $25 now.
Yeah,
you know, like if we get a dish for the kids each, that's $20. It's like so. My point being is that you have inflation happening. You finally have a slowdown happening with the consumer because of inflation. You have these startups that clearly have to cut costs. So that obviously means employees. That'll be other expenses, and that'll have a trickle-down effect on the entire economy. And then today, 30-year fixed mortgage rates crossed 5%.
Mm-hmm.
And I know every time we talk about this and every time we post it, everyone's like, it used to be 10%. But it was 2% 60 days ago, 90 days ago. I don't follow mortgage rates historically, so I have no concept of this. But at the pace that mortgage rates are increasing, the housing market has to fucking stop.
So the mortgage rate that crossed 5%, that's for middle class homes.
Yeah.
So they're the ones who are going to get crushed.
The sub $1 million home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the high end homes still have lower mortgage rates, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
That if you're middle class, you pay double what a rich person pays.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's the risk, right? Yeah. The people are assessing the risk.
Yeah.
And the challenge is now, dude, you're talking about the mortgage payment on that $500,000 house has doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know the exact math of it doubled, but like it's gone up significantly.
Yeah. So if your mortgage payments have gone up at the minimum 60%, right?
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
So that's your monthly expense.
Well, that's if you had an adjustable rate.
Right.
Yeah. But if you were to go buy a home today and pay 5%, you're going to buy a substantially cheaper home because you can't afford the monthly nut.
I wonder when it hits real estate because it hasn't. I'm still hearing sight unseen for $1 million home, all that.
I think it'll take time. Everything is like, these are leading indicators.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people have locked in. I have this much cash. I need to put it to work. I want to buy real estate. I want to buy a home. And I think, but eventually, like if your mortgage payment went from like $5,000 a month to $8,000 a month to $10,000 a month, you're gonna be like, all right.
And your gas bills triple.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's
crazy how quickly this stuff changes.
Yeah.
8 months ago, 6 months ago, we were joking on the pod. Everything just goes up, goes up, goes up.
Nothing goes up now except mortgage payments, credit card payments. Everything is going up. What's funny is on Robinhood, based on your balance, you get offered margin trading. And so I get emails every week. We've now changed our margin rate. It was like at 1.5%. Then it went to 2%, then 2.5%. Now it's at 3%. Literally every week, the rate is going up.
Robinhood has to be toast, right? Kids aren't on Robinhood anymore.
No, NFTs.
I think Davey Day Trader even.
I officially have a crypto wallet now. On Robinhood.
Oh, so you could send it to your Coinbase account.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but they said you're now off the wait list.
But can you use your existing crypto?
Well, that's the soon we'll find out.
That's the big test.
Yeah. But at least they're making some progress. But yeah, we're going to start reading about a lot of companies. I actually just got an email from someone saying these are all the companies that have been laid off people. These are the positions they've laid off. They've literally created an entire spreadsheet of like the talent pool that's available because of these layoffs.
Yeah, I think the advice is basically it's industry agnostic. This is the time to work your ass off because people are looking to chop heads.
Yeah.
So if you've gotten lazy, you got too comfortable work from home, and you're not showing up, and you're not going the extra mile, not turning the video on in the Zoom, this is the time to ratchet all that up so you can keep your job.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to get really ugly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's going to be like easy. It's going to be an ugly situation, and it gets very ugly very quickly too. It's like it's
pace. Overnight.
Yeah. Because like
it'll go from GoPuff 3% to
name a company 25%.
25-30%.
Yeah. Especially, do you know how many fintech companies are surrounding the mortgage industry?
Yeah.
Mega real estate, fintech, mortgage. The mortgage industry is like trillions. So there's so many amazing businesses that have been in the ecosystem. The mortgage applications are going to plummet.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you're in that
industry, you're
done.
It's
over.
Hacked for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna be. It's obvious. Oh, we went from getting 100 applications a day to getting 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need all these people. Super interesting, but I mean,
super scary.
Very scary. It's interesting is when you read about it though, like the Goldman Sachs and even the Fed, they still believe that a recession is unlikely. Because that means slowed rate.
This is the issue, right? There's two different economies right now. You have this like fast growing tech sector that basically never had to worry about profits, never had to worry about anything, raise unlimited capital. And that's a big sector now, right? Like think about how many companies are unicorns, et cetera. But then you have like the traditional Fortune 500 companies that are sitting on unlimited cash, levels of cash that they've never had before.
I mean, I can't even imagine the profits ExxonMobil are going to offer. I mean, probably a record year for them.
Yeah.
And they've been just sleeping for 5 years.
And so you have like the solid companies have never performed better. They're sitting on more cash than ever. So optically, it looks like the economy is still strong, but I think there's going to be a lot of pain in certain sectors. Yeah. That's how I kind of view today. That could change overnight.
Yeah.
But, anecdotally, like all the Middle East funds, like the sovereign funds, I'm hearing they are so aggressive. With $140 oil, they are piling.
We're not 140 yet.
Where are we at?
100.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were at one point, right?
We're there for a day.
We're there for a day.
Yeah.
But they're getting so aggressive in real estate. They're backing. There's just literally unlimited capital.
Yeah, and I think they're playing it smart, right?
Because they need to diversify. They know this isn't lasting forever.
Yeah, and so they're getting ahead of it. They're gonna deploy all this capital. That's why there may be a rationale where this doesn't actually happen, because in previous times, these oil companies, let's take energy sector, they were just dividending out or like. Whatever, continue to invest in that industry. They know this is a blip on the radar. EV is happening.
Yeah.
Especially the Saudi companies know that. Like they are doling out cash.
They should just be putting it in Tesla.
Yeah. Clean tech.
Every day they collect their cash from their oil, just put it in Tesla.
Yeah. I mean, dude, this is an insane amount of money they're making.
And unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So where you do Run Club, right? It's public, right?
Yeah.
Santa Monica and Doheny.
Yeah.
And there's an apartment building that's right by where you guys start. I won't say the name. It's a high-end condo building. You can see it from where you guys.
Yeah.
3-bedroom. I've done a tour a year and a half ago. 3-bedroom townhomes. How much do you think they go for? 2 to 3 bedroom. 1,500 to 2,000 square feet.
$4 million.
No, they're for rent.
For rent. Okay.
2 to 3 bedrooms.
18,000.
25,000 is the lowest price in that building.
Wow.
Fully sold out. Fully leased.
Wow. Booming.
Who the fuck is paying 25?
GMoney.
You guys know which building I'm talking about, right? Yeah. That's insane.
And it's cool, but I don't know if it's for 25K.
I mean, I just don't get how there's just unlimited money, like, for everything.
Yeah. It's America.
But then we just talk about how the middle class is going to get whacked.
Yeah. Well, sorry. I mean, here's the thing. This is your opportunity if you're in the middle class to rejig. The information's out here.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates are going up. Job security is going to be lighter. You buckle down.
Yeah.
The writing's on the wall. If you're at a company that feels unstable and is not in the right sector, change careers. Don't sit there and wait to get laid off. Make your move.
Right.
You know, like if you need to sell your home and rent, do it. Like, come on.
Sell your home, move to a cheaper neighborhood, save cash.
Move to a different city, do whatever. Like, this is your chance. Like, we know that like there's going to be a slowdown. Maybe not a recession, but a slowdown. If you are concerned about that and you feel like you could be personally impacted, then you need to make some changes. Yep. You can't just accept, it's slowing down, I'm going to get fucked.
Right. And you see the most successful, richest people, there's a sense of fear that I haven't seen since March of 2020.
Yeah. Because they see it.
Like, I don't know if you still listen to the All In Pod.
No.
But those guys are scared.
Yeah.
They're like instilling fear. Like, companies are...
Well, you know, one of them, their SPACs haven't been doing too great.
No. One of them, definitely not.
But, you know, we'll see. All that stuff is great, but this is the biggest news. Kanye is pulling out of Coachella. So I feel bad. I set up Eric. I said we were talking about Coachella, and I was like, "Do you think Kanye will do it or pull out?" And he goes, "100% he's gonna do it. Contract, this, that." Little did he know, I already knew he was pulling out, and I just didn't want to. I just set him up on that one.
Right.
Obviously, we have some inside sources. We knew he was pulling out. We're hearing the rumors of who is going to replace. I won't say that. If it's confidential, we'll just keep it that way. People will find out soon enough because it's next fucking week.
Yeah, it's next weekend.
So the reasons what they're publicly saying is that he wasn't prepared.
I don't buy it.
No, I mean, come on. This guy's
been performing for 20 years.
He's always prepared. And I get it. I went to his Coachella set, the legendary one, whenever the fuck that was, 10, 12 years ago. And it was a masterpiece. And I'm sure he worked on that for months, if not a year. And I get it. He's a perfectionist. But I also did just see his LA Coliseum tour, which is just pull up with the hoodie and 80,000 people and just kind of rap to some his biggest hits. He could get away with that. He could get away with.
He doesn't need the pyro. He doesn't need any of that.
He could go up there, play his hits, one mic, and we would love it.
So what do you think the real reason is?
I think it's a combination of he's probably in a tough place because of just everything that's happened with his family. I think he also probably got a lot of pressure from Coachella itself, like tone down your rhetoric. And he may have just said, you know what? You're telling me what to do? Fuck off. I'm done. I'm out. So you want to sue me? Sue me. I think he'll do the replacement, which will be next year. I did see like Coachella ticket prices.
Coachella can't take the risk with the guy that may cancel the week bore.
Yeah.
There's no way. He's never being at Coachella again.
Yeah.
Why would you? Because think about how many kids, I mean, obviously, like kids saved up all their money, sold an NFT, found an Airbnb, are ready to tent. They're like Kanye stans.
Yeah.
These kids are nuts about this guy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely leaving early. I will not be there Sunday night.
So, I mean, for the festival, what % came specifically for Kanye?
Look,
from the kids. Forget the adults who go to the parties and have the nice houses and pools.
No, look, I don't think I think Kanye being there was definitely the impetus for people's urgency of going to the festival. It would have sold out no matter what, because it's an institution on its own. But I am seeing like the prices are for a general admission ticket is far below face,
which is never happened since I've been going.
Yeah, probably not in the last 10 years.
Especially when, despite we talked about slowdown coming, people haven't lost their money yet. Everyone has money still.
Yeah,
we're talking about $25,000 rents.
Yeah,
for 2-bedroom apartments.
Yeah, that guy. How many tickets does that guy have to Coachella? 40. But I don't know.
I think it's devastating for the festival because there was. I'll share this story. I don't think it's not confidential. Kanye, I have a friend's sister who was at San Ysidro Ranch Hotel in Santa Barbara 3 days ago, having dinner, and Kanye West shows up with like a group of people, unclear who they were. Seemed like it was like a business meeting.
Okay.
They shut down the whole restaurant for the hotel. No hotel guests could eat at the restaurant.
So you just starve.
San Ysidro Ranch is top three hotels in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it's basically
it's Rosewood, San Ysidro, and Belmont or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And imagine you pay $2,000, $2,500 a night and you can't eat dinner.
I'll be honest, that restaurant's not good.
That's fine, but you need why would the hotel allow that?
Because they know the restaurant's not good. They're just like, if this guy wants to rent this place out, we'll give everyone a better. I remember everyone hyped up that restaurant. It's not good.
I've never been to the hotel.
The hotel's cool, but that restaurant is overhyped.
Okay.
I'm surprised Kanye's eating there.
Yeah,
a little disappointing.
So that's what he was doing right when he was pulling out of Coachella.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the dynamic is, what the actual reason is. I'm sure it's a combination of just like his state right now, plus some pressure, and he's just like, do I really need this headache?
Yeah.
But it's disappointing, to say the least, because we know that if Kanye's there, everyone's singing to his songs, dancing. It's like, it's a moment.
And it sucks for whoever replaces Kanye.
Yeah, because it's crickets.
Mm-hmm. Like I don't think there's an artist that could replace him.
So, like, people are talking like Bad Bunny, who's arguably the biggest artist in the world. The problem with Bad Bunny is it was never billed him to close out the show. So his fans aren't like, of course, everyone knows Bad Bunny songs,
but his stands
aren't there.
And Coachella sets are insane to produce. Like Kanye can get away with it.
Yeah.
You can't just do.
You need someone that's like on tour.
A star is not gonna. Like, what star is going to risk having a whack show that he's put together in 10 days?
Yeah.
Because I remember we have friends who worked with Beyonce. Dude, they spent like a year on that.
Yeah.
The year before, they went and scouted out the festival to set up for the next year.
Well, she's also on another level. I'm sure there's some artists that are just pulling up.
Yeah.
There's 4 p.m. guys.
Yeah, but this is Sunday night closing out. You can't come. You have to come correct.
So it'll probably be a DJ then.
Right. Which would suck.
Yeah. Marshmallow.
Just put the hat on.
He doesn't have to be there. Just put his hat on and go.
Because you need the pyro. You need all that.
Yeah. I mean, the pyro part's probably easier to pull off than like a set of dancers and like one of those types of artists.
Like, remember how intricate Kendrick's performance was with the ninjas and like that takes so long to come up with.
Yeah. Anyone that needs like dancers you can't have them. You can't learn like this.
Maybe have like Ed Sheeran. Just get up there with
the guitar. That's kind of hot. I'm down with Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran I could live with. I'm trying to think who else. I think a rock band could do it because they're pretty minimal sets. Like Go Get Mumford and Sons.
Or they're gonna need
Killers.
to like kind of make it like a Jay-Z and Friends, and you just have like just.
But it literally has to be Jay-Z and his friends, not like someone else. There's no one else's friends.
I'm probably aging ourselves out, but that was a concert that he was supposed to do with R. Kelly, and they beefed, right?
Yeah.
This is like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then he continued the show called Jay-Z and Friends.
Yeah. I don't want those friends. I want new friends.
Yeah, we need
like new friends.
I went to that show.
The new friend is what's the homie's name from Coldplay?
Chris Martin.
Yeah. These are my new friends.
Okay.
I'd love Beanie Siegel, but I'm not necessarily going to
But every city it was different friends on that tour.
Yeah, it's cheaper. Get a local friend. You don't have to fly them. Get Ludacris. He's in Atlanta. Get Khaled. He's in Miami. It really puts them in a jam. I wouldn't mind just, you know what? We got nobody. You guys can go home early.
Is Jack Harlow on the festival bill?
No. I mean, he can't close Coachella.
No, obviously.
What's popping? What is he gonna say?
I just feel like
what's popping? Not me closing out the festival.
Obviously, he can't close out, but I just feel like he's buzzing.
Okay, well, he's not closing out fucking Coachella. I think you go get a rock band that is probably on tour already. Like if the Killers are out there, or Mumford and Sons, or one of those people, go pay Liam and Noel Gallagher and go get Oasis there.
It's got to be full panic mode, right? You're 10 days out, you don't have a closer.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened for freaking 2 years.
Yeah.
Like people want this. I mean, what is it? Last one was 19. 3 years.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Good luck, Coachella.
I'm really curious to see who. There's a lot of speculation on who it'll be, but I don't think you go pop artist. I think you go old school rock band. Aerosmith.
I saw the Instagrams of Bruno Mars at Delilah Vegas. That looked pretty dope.
Yes, hot.
But
Bruno could do it, but he's a guy.
Didn't
that
he already
needs
do
a set.
Coachella recently?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Good luck.
All right. Well, if you haven't already, head over to Shop New Republic and support DJ Eric Deluxe, aka Chief Scribble Officer, and his new merch launch, which is doing extremely well. We're selling a awesome crew neck sweatshirt for $30, so please check it out. And we are doing our live show on Thursday, so the next episode will actually be the live taping of it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we only had 50 spots, so we'll do something bigger later this year. But for the 50 lucky folks, we will see you at Sweet Flower on Thursday night, 7 p.m. sharp. And that's it. Do you have anything else?
Any
yeah,
shout-outs?
so we had a big basketball game yesterday.
Oh,
the NCAA
yeah.
championship. I'm a Mizzou guy. I'm wearing my Mizzou hoodie, so I just have to say, fuck KU. Get that out the way.
Okay. I thought you were going the
I was
other
like,
way.
Missouri wasn't playing.
No, I wish. But I just wanted to give a shout out to the winners. So first place, we got Sasa Zelivanovic. Second place, Liam Callahan. Third place, Gian Pantaleon. So be on the lookout for an email for me. And yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a great game.
It was a great game, especially I didn't get to. I was at birthday dinner, so I didn't get to catch the last the second half. But it looked like North Carolina was running away with it, and then some random person at the restaurant had a laptop open, and I got to peek for it, and I was like, "They're losing."
Yeah, no, they were up 15 at the half, and then Kansas came roaring back. North Carolina held them off, and then the big guy on North Carolina got injured, and they were toast after that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, congrats, guys, winning that. And, that's it.
We'll see you Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Peace.